All right, so for a few years now, we've been making a video titled basically, Where the hell is The Wolf Among Us 2? And I'm really sick and fucking tired of doing this. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. And I'm not doing it because of any other reason than to talk about The Wolf Among Us 2, get it out there a little bit more, let Telltale know, let the developers know that we still care about this game, we still want this game. And I think it's complete bullshit that they have gone completely fucking silent in just the game. And now there's some people that have said, well, you know what, you need to have patience, or you need to let them work, and then when they have something, they'll let us know. And while I do agree with that, you don't want to pressure them too much. You don't want to have a situation where you pressure them so much that they end up releasing a half-cooked product, or they end up releasing something that's complete shit. But we haven't really gotten any news about The Wolf Among Us in a while. We're in 2026. I don't really know that there was any update at all in 2025. In 2024, there was some new images and some screenshots that were released by Jeff Keighley, and those are cool. I mean, we talked about them here on the channel. We examined them a little deeper, at least to the best of my abilities at the time. And we talked about it. We saw, okay, the game is getting updates. The game is clearly in a playable state to a certain degree. And hopefully that means that we'll be getting a new update or a gameplay trailer or release date very, very soon. But that didn't end up happening. And again, throughout 2025, I don't know that we got anything. Now, unless I'm getting my timelines confused and the screenshots released early 2025, that could have happened. But the point is that there's been no real news from The Wolf Among Us 2. And the people behind the game haven't said shit about it either. Now, it's funny because if you go on the website, Telltale Games, and you look at The Wolf Among Us 2, it says here, coming to PCs and consoles. There hasn't been any real update to the website at all. But if you look at the wallpaper here, you have Telltale Games, Ad Hoc Studios, GOAT. You have DC and Warner Bros. But I think it's fun. It's kind of fun and funny to see Ad Hoc Studios there. Now, the cool thing about that is that now we know who Ad Hoc is. Now we know what Ad Hoc can do and what they can deliver, what they do with Dispatch, and their support and their help on The Wolf Among Us 2 would have been very welcome. Now, however, I do believe that Ad Hoc themselves came out and stated that Telltale was taking too long with The Wolf Among Us 2. Things weren't working the way they wanted them to work, and so Ad Hoc had to leave to work on their Dispatch game. So Ad Hoc also revealed that they wrote the story for The Wolf Among Us 2, which gave me a lot of hope, right? That's what we do know at the time. They wrote the story. But they stated that when they left, they don't know how much of what they wrote was actually going to be used in the final version of The Wolf Among Us 2. So that gives us some fear there, right? Because how does that work? They wrote something, do they keep it, do they use it, or do they try to bring in some new writers to rewrite some stuff to make fit whatever they want, right? Like, that's a problem already within itself. So it looks like there's been a hiccup there. It looks like there's been some issues there. Telltale maybe don't have the people to work on this. Maybe they don't have the people to finish it. I do believe that many months ago, maybe even a year ago, there was some information that came out about some layoffs that happened over at Telltale Games. So that doesn't fare well for the studio. That doesn't fare well for The Wolf Among Us 2. What does that mean? Does it put the game in limbo? Has the game been in limbo since they freaking announced it? Like, if you have less people at the studio, less people are working on it, what's it like? There was other reports that came out that Telltale was crunching. Again, crunch is a big thing in gaming, and it was a big thing before. People working all these crazy hours, people being forced to do this. It affects them and how they work. The work-life balance isn't there. There's been a lot of stories about crunch, and Telltale has been accused about that before, and they were accused of it not that long ago again when it came to The Wolf Among Us 2. So everything that we see from The Wolf Among Us, everything that we see from the story that Telltale is trying to make with season 2 doesn't fare well. I don't know where the game is. I don't have any fucking update. I've looked for news updates for anything. And the last type of news that we had surrounding The Wolf Among Us at all, in terms of people talking about it, people writing articles about it, people trying to find out, was around September of 2025. And it's been quiet since. And before that, there's been really no update. So what the fuck is really going on? And again, if we take a look at the website, we just get a very minimal introduction. Play as Bigby, the big bad wolf and sheriff of Fabletown, as you return to a gritty detective noir world where there are no fairy tale endings. First of all, that sounds fucking fabulous. I want that. I need that today. But, we don't have any updates. It says wishlist now on Epic Games. That's it. You can't even wishlist it on the PS5 or on the consoles. So that's it. There's nothing else here on the official website of Telltale. And it just fucking kills me, dude. It absolutely kills me because I want The Wolf Among Us 2, especially after Ad Hoc did with Dispatch. You're like, dude, Telltale, tighten up. Release this shit, work on this shit, and give us this fucking fabulous game because we need it. Now, if you go on the news page for Telltale, right, and I don't know how accurate this is, but it says that they haven't had a new news article since November 21st of 2013, and that was them promoting The Expanse, a Telltale series. What the fuck? They haven't had a news update since 2023 on their website. And everything that you see here is mostly The Expanse, right? They really don't have anything at all about The Wolf Among Us 2. The last thing that they shared was this: see the official Wolf Among Us 2 trailer and behind the scenes info. That released on February 9th of 2022. Can you fucking believe that? 2022. We're on 2026. That shit don't even make sense. That don't even sound right to me. That's not right. You know what I mean? So yeah, man, I really, really, really don't know. This is just a very weird thing to not hear anything at all about The Wolf Among Us 2, to have Telltale be completely dead quiet on it. It doesn't fare well for us. It doesn't fare well in general for people that really still believe in this game. I know some people would say, and there's probably going to be comments joking, that this game is a fairy tale. This game is never going to come out. This game is as good as dead. And I really don't want that to be the case, because imagine if they really come out and say, hey, you know what? The Wolf Among Us 2 is canceled and we're shutting down again. First of all, that would be absolute terrible fucking news. But they got us going. We thought that The Wolf Among Us 2 was never going to happen when the first cancellation came and the shutdown of the studio came. And then they come out with this trailer. They get us going. They show us artwork. They show us screenshots. And we're like, oh yeah, we're about to eat. And then bam, they hit you with that shit. Nah, never mind. And they get rid of it. That would be wild. The Wolf Among Us 2 needs some sort of update in 2026. If we go this whole year again without hearing anything about The Wolf Among Us 2, any information from Telltale, any information at all, then I'm gonna start believing truly that, yeah, this shit might be over, bro. Because you announced the game in 2022 and we haven't really seen anything from it again. No gameplay trailer, nothing. We just got a few screenshots and some artwork, like concept art. That was it. And I think that's fucked up. I think it's fucked up that we haven't gotten any update at all, not even on Twitter, not even on any of the official websites. So yeah, guys, I am really concerned about The Wolf Among Us 2. I'm hoping that we get something this year and we get something very soon. And also, one final thing that I would like to say is, if you go onto their website or if you go onto their Twitter account or X account, the last post they have here is from August 7th. 2025, and it's about a publisher sale. You know, there's nothing about The Wolf Among Us 2, no update, nothing. The last time they tweeted about The Wolf Among Us 2 was, today's a big day for us. It marks the anniversary of the OG Telltale's founding. We wouldn't be back without you. So thanks, and enjoy some new The Wolf Among Us 2 screens to start your weekend. That's it. Nothing else. So 2 years ago, really, almost, since they even mentioned The Wolf Among Us 2 on their socials. I really hope that we get some information very, very soon. My hope and my optimism is dwindling by the years because we haven't gotten any information on it. So yeah, let me know what you guys think about this whole ordeal, this whole debacle. Do you think The Wolf Among Us 2 is still coming? Do you think they're going to use the script that Ad Hoc wrote? Would you like to see that? What the hell do you think is going on with The Wolf Among Us 2?